Hey guys, we had a new patch hit for Dominions today, and yeah, we had some major changes. I'll give you some of my thoughts on them. A lot of the changes aren't fully spelled out, so I'm not going to be able to kind of tell you everything, because there's a lot I still don't know. So let's read the overall description, and then we'll read through it, and I'll kind of give you my reaction to each of the different patch changes. So this balance patch alters scales effects, bless effect costs, pretender costs, summoning rituals, and many of the powerful spells, and much more. Maximum Dominion strength is no longer capped at 10, meaning that temples can make it increase above 10. This high Dominion will help when trying to push weaker Dominions and when you want to recruit more Sacreds. Global blood rituals now have their strength required for dispelling divided by 2 because blood slaves are easier to get than normal gems. It's also easier to permanently kill immortal beings. Any soul slay effect will now do it. And then hopefully this should make more strategies viable when trying to win the game. There are also a lot of minor changes, bug fixes, and modding improvements. Okay. So that is the overall kind of change description. Now we'll go through each of the line items. Many balance changes. I have no idea what's all in this. Dominion strength no longer be capped to 10. I think this is probably the big... Okay, one of the biggest. This is like definitely like top 2 or 3 in terms of the way it will affect the game. I don't know what you can... Like what the max Dominion strength is now. But let's say it could go up to 15. That would be pretty crazy. Like, you would push Dominion so freaking hard. I think, like, this potentially could bring Dom killing back in the game. Which, for those of you who don't know, it's something you used to be able to do in Dominions. There were a few mechanics that allowed it to happen before. The main one was that Jade Knives you were able to forge as any nation, not just as Mictlan. So you're able to really push Dominion hard. But this, being able to go up higher than 10, I think if you get 15 and somebody else is at like 7, I think it's going to be very hard for them to compete. But the thing with Dom pushing at a higher Dominion strength is... Dominions works a little bit like fluid mechanics in the sense that like the amount of Dominion pressure is caused by how high your Dominion is, or the difference between your Dominion in one province and the Dominion in another. So if you get up to 15, you can cause an immense amount of pressure. The problem is that also kind of like fluids, like if it's the depth of a pool or the depth of a pipe, it takes more time and energy to fill up 15 Dominion than it does 10. So it will make for kind of slow Dom kills, but powerful. So that is a really important mechanic, because it used to be if you went for high Dominion, you would be like, okay, we're going to get high Dominion, but let's not go to 10, because it's going to get capped if I build any forts, so then it's basically wasted. So this, I think, is a pretty important balance change. It's going to... it can potentially open up strategies where you're either mass recruiting Sacreds, like, you know, think about Mictlan maybe, you don't even really get much of a bless, you get like a very minor bless, but then like for Eagle Warriors, and you just crap out 1 million of them, because Eagle Warriors are super cheap. Okay, Phantasmal attack, they get archers now. Mechanical Militia get more men and have an iron fly. I don't know what an iron fly is. I assume it is a flying unit that will join and thereby help to mess with scripts. It's actually something we can test. I was going to do a test game real quick. We'll do 10 Dominion since that's a thing. And let's make sure we have one here. Okay. So I hope this works in terms of kind of seamlessly transitioning between the changelog and that. So I've got this pulled up. Let's get a debug sensei. Okay. I think what we're going to do is we're going to cast... or we got to get some gems first. Let me get some gems. Okay. So here we go. We've got a fair amount of gems. Let's cast Mechanical Militia. And the other... I'm going to have to get the other player to come attack me. I'm in 86. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to have to give him stuff to go attack. I probably should have done this on both of them. Okay. We need to probably... Okay. Is it better to get... It's probably about the same distance. Let's see if we can make a golem. Then we'll give him a hat. And can he reach? Let's at least give him a non-retarded script. And... well, we'll have you wait one turn, buddy. We'll make you a brand so that you can actually be a little scary. Golems, if you don't know, they have really bad attack skill, so if you have them punch things with their fist, they literally are like a creep. Okay, 86. Seven, aha, too far. Please tell me we were successful. Oh, of course my golem got killed. Okay, let's try this again. We'll actually make a real golem. Firebrand, Firebrand. We'll do Knight Armor, Boots of Quickness, and a nice hat. Oh shit, I did the wrong hat. Okay, so here we go, and then we'll kit him out. This is all he needs. And here we go. Okay, all he really needs is... we'll do Body Ethereal and Astral Shield. Okay, here we go. Why are we watching this? I have no idea. Okay, and now we can attack. Let's make a lab here so that we can come back. And we'll summon a debug sensei here. We'll put the PD up kind of high. Okay, and so now we can come back to this for our test game and we can test interactions of things. Let's make a fort here too. It doesn't destroy it. Okay, let's check out this Mechanical Militia. They should get Iron Flies. What? Is this Dominions? They get a Spark Bite? Does shock damage? It's legit. Broadsword. Okay, this is with 25 PD. Let's go to Ulm and let's have them expand out here. And we'll just give it like 6 PD, which is a normal kind of amount to have. Now, Horde of Skeletons also got nerfed. We'll talk about that when we get to it, but since I'm casting it right now, you'll probably won't be able to tell, because especially if you're a higher magic path, it's not as big of a nerf. They basically just made it summon 1 less skeleton, but it scales still with the amount of... Okay. It scales still with the amount of death magic you have. Okay, so conquered this. Now, let's give it... Oh, you get to see it here, too. Whoa! Okay. So you have to get at least 20 to get the flies. But these guys are kind of badass. That's cool. So, if you're doing normal light rating, like if it's only like 10 PD in some place, you're not going to get the flies. You just get these guys, which, you know, they're solid. They'll hurt some, like thugs and things like that. They'll definitely make it harder to raid. But getting up to, honestly, like 25 is when this thing would really start to shine, because the problem with 25 is it's like an investment you have to defend. But it will make it very difficult for thugs to come in, because they won't be able to finish their buff cycle, and they've got really high protection, high hit point flies jumping on them immediately. So we'll try that, and then we'll have our fearless... Let's make a Wraith Lord or something. We'll have you come out here, and your job is to do a buff cycle, and Soul Vortex, and then attack. And like that. So I should have 25 PD. Yeah, we get some of the bugs. Their guys are on hold and attack, which... Okay. Solo kill a Wraithlord? Not bad. So if you're suffering from Wraithlord raiding problems, this may be the answer. But let's look and see how far he got in his buff cycle. So... Okay, no, they didn't hold an attack. They jumped back there really fast. Okay, so this is, I think, a very legit add to defense. So that makes this actually a good spell. Yeah. Still expensive, and it's a Dominion spell, but... I mean, pretty legit, I think. They're going to be back there before they can cast their second spell most of the time. Okay, so that's Mechanical Militia. Phantasmal Province Defense from Fata Morgana, improved with new Phantasmal Archers. Okay, let's cast that. Okay, so... Fata Morgana. Ooh, we're going to have both. Okay, now you really have to get wrecked. This is going to be painful for you, buddy. Excuse me? Okay, I'm guessing these two don't really go very well together. So this is what it's supposed to be. Phantasmal Bow, a magic weapons bow. Not sure if that's good or not. That's what it's supposed to be, but I don't think that's what it is. Interestingly, these guys kept 1 month immortality. Because they did nerf the immortality mechanic here. Yeah, okay, this is pretty broken. Oh, they get Phantasmal Knights. That's pretty cool. Let's see what it's like if we get rid of Mechanical Militia. So yeah, if you wanted the Wombo Combo best PD ever strategy, it appears that that is broken. Okay, there's something very, very fishy going on here. Okay. Consider this some free bug detection, Illwinter. This is why bug testing actually is hard in games, because you have to like actually go test all the cross effects. So apparently having both of these messes that up. We get Phantasmal Knights. But where's the rest of the Phantasmal crew? Let's make sure it's not just that one province. Yeah. We can leave. Let's go back here. We'll dispel it and cast it again. Oops, that's not going to work. Okay, and we'll cast it again. We'll just make another turn pass. Think of this like resetting your computer. And we'll see if this works. Fata Morgana. Alright, we don't want to put any extra. Okay. Pangea. Time to attack. Oh, let's move down here, because I forgot we won. We got some Phantasmal Knights. None of our Phantasmal guys are showing up in the battle. So I'm going to go up there and say I'm not sure what happened. But here, let's try it again. We'll go from 0 PD back up, because this is what it says you should have. But it is not what we actually do have. So I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but we're going to get the complete info here. Okay, so I mean, we could do a test game all over again. There's definitely something broken. I'm not sure if it's an interaction with... Okay, let's do it. We're going to find out if it's an interaction real quick, because I'm not going to go back and test it again afterwards. So you're going to have to watch me bug fix. Okay, so let's just do this again. AA, okay. Fine. Okay. Oh, shit. I needed 2 players. Okay, we just need 1 point or 2 in Dominion. I mean, in that. Over here we need Okay, so I think the dragon will be fine. Well, let's make some decent troops, actually. Okay. And then let's put all your gems over here. We'll have this guy make gems. Okay, it should give us enough to do Fata Morgana. Almost. Okay, and let's just see if it's bugged in general or if it's a bugged interaction. Okay, it is bugged in general. Very, very bugged in general. So, what it shows you getting, yeah, you don't get. Okay, well, I will make sure to report that. I guess this is probably one of the instances of them testing, putting in something but not testing it. They probably don't have a very big test force. Okay, teleporting units can now cross Sea of Ice. That's kind of niche, but cool. New look for Wailing Winds and some other battle enchantments. I actually do want to see that. So, here we go. I'm liking it that these cool spells now get like a better look. Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. Okay. Normal soul slaying will also kill immortals permanently. So it used to be you had to enslave them, and then that would switch ownership. And because they couldn't respawn, that would be the way to kind of permanently get rid of immortals. They had it where soul slay did a halfway kind of killing, where it would make them dead for 6 months, but not permanently dead. Now they could have gone and made it longer. Like they could have made it 12 months, but 12 months you're basically as good as dead. Like you're not really coming back. And the problem if you do 12 months is that a lot of times if you have an immortal god or something like that, it's better to have them die and then to call them back than to have them dead for 12 months. So this is the fix. Now the problem is less. Okay, I mean the problem is definitely battlefield soul slaying, because getting your guys picked off from that will definitely hurt if you're relying on immortals. But really, it's things like Mind Hunt too. So yeah, getting Mind Hunted all over the place is kind of nuts. Spell AI improvements. Okay, so I have no idea what this is, but I had like a long list of spell AI improvements that I kind of wanted. Hopefully that gets better. I don't know what this is. I would really like to know what this is. There's not an easy way to test it, though. Probably the top of my list was it wouldn't target things that were amidst like a swarm of skeletons with any spell because it was worried about friendly fire, and that made the AI continue to do Horde of Skeletons. So it's like Horde of Skeletons vicious cycle. I don't know if that got fixed. That might be worth testing, but we're not going to. Blood globals can only use half the amount of blood slaves to determine strength. Or use only half. So you have to put twice as many to keep something up, like Astral Corruption. Honestly, I don't think this is enough to keep people from people are still not going to dispel blood globals. If it's like there's one person who's winning the game and they are a blood nation and they put up astral corruption, it's now possible for people to try to take it down. But you could still put 1,000 in, and where are you going to drum up 1,000 pearls? You could, but then they'll just re-put it back up with another 1,000 slaves. And if they're a big blood nation, it's no sweat. So, this is a good change, but honestly, it should be like a fourth. It should be a fourth. If they put like 1,000 blood slaves in, you should have to put like an overcasting. 250 overcasting would maybe be reasonable. Maybe that's a comparable investment. Or 250 pearls for 1,000 slaves is kind of comparable. I mean, another way to think about it is if you wish for slaves, you spend 100 pearls and you get 2,500 slaves. You know, so maybe not even comparable. Okay, 2 braces of defense, no longer stack. Rip Dione. This, I think, is a really good change. I like it. So, it used to be stacking braces of defense. You could get really high protection with legions of steel. Now you can't do it quite as much, which I think is good. Okay, Vampire Queens creates vampires once per winter. So that's kind of cool. New disciple titles. Do not create incorrect status dumps during network host. Increased maximum message length. That's kind of nice. You don't have to break things up in as many messages now. Spies no longer infiltrate own capital when it is besieged. Ring of Returning removed afflictions when used. I didn't know that, but that's a bug I wish I had exploited. Knights who lost both arms lost their hoof attack fixed. Sight searching warning now takes level 4 sights into account as well. I'm not sure what maybe I don't have it turned on. Because I don't know what this sight searching warning is. Yeah, I don't know what a sight searching warning is. But whatever it is, apparently it takes level 4 sights into account as well. Maybe this is some behind-the-scenes AI thing, where, like, because the AI will preferentially not target certain things when you have them set to kind of, like, what's the default next province to target? I have no idea. Could be a setting. AI will now no longer send mercs to the arena. AI got the same name for all 3 gods in the Trinity. Whoops. And then Centaur commanders can now equip magic lances. Mirror image no longer removed by poison, blood vengeance, or similar. So mirror image is a bit more useful. That's a nice buff. Mirror image is pretty niche right now. And this is still going to keep it pretty niche. But anyway. I assume this applies to glamour, though. So it does mean things like foul vapors is maybe not going to be quite as awesome against glamour troops. Scroll bar could not be grabbed at the top of an army screen. Oh yeah, it always was really hard to grab. That was the first time. AI performance improvements. So I guess this is strategic AI. Not sure there. AI bug fix. Fix for ritual of returning giving wrong mummy size. I think this had to do with flyers or things like that who were kind of big just because of their wings. They would get a big mummy, or like mounted units. Small bugs now have poison damage only. Okay, that's actually a huge change. And I didn't actually realize that when I was first reading the patch notes. So we'll cast Swarm a bunch of times. This actually is a really big deal. Wait, what the hell? Armor negating poison damage. The ants, they do sting, which is a normal armor piercing attack, but an effect on damage weak poison, which means this is never going to hit, really. Dragonfly. Yeah, so most of the things here, I think except for the ants, are going to be doing... Well, no, large spider. It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, a lot of the things here are have a armor piercing attack. And I don't really remember what it was before. I thought they were all armor negating. Like, so this is a tiny bug. Wait, now where are the tiny bugs? Okay, so anything with the tiny sting is going to be doing armor negating damage. Armor negating poison. Everything else is just going to be doing one armor piercing. Okay, so what this means is pretty important. What this means, because it was these little armor negating attacks that would be able to even kill super combatants, which never really made sense. It does make sense maybe if you're not poison immune, but now it's basically counterable, right? So now, if you have any protection and a little bit of poison resistance, then Swarm isn't going to kill you. So it made Swarm assassinations way less effective. In terms of using Swarm in battle, it didn't really change that too much, because their main function in battle is just to be chaffy. But the poison thing will be fine. Like, this one poison damage isn't gonna make a big difference. I think what it will mean, though, is you'll accumulate poison stacks, and you can't take more than one poison damage a turn until you get at least 20 poison damage. So they will kill... Actually, it will make an effect. They will kill things less slowly in battle. I mean, more slowly in battle. Versus unarmored stuff, it is possible, and I don't know what this was before. Oh. Yeah, armor piercing max 1 point. Yeah, this is not going to do much at all. Sting. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is a pretty big nerf to Swarm, though. And it's an extremely big nerf for Swarm Assassins. Which I think is a good thing. Like, I think if you were planning on doing Swarm Assassins, it's probably like half as effective. I just have to bet. Yeah. Maybe I'm not even sure what you would do if you're a nature assassin these days now. Maybe you still do that. Maybe you do that. I think you probably have to do Swarm and just use it for like a front screen, and then you have to shoot them with something. Okay, a scroll bar could not be a bug. Okay, small bugs now have poison damage only. New sound for trampling gelatinous cube. Can't wait to see what that is. Could not see all PD in extreme cases. Okay. Blood Surge is printed in combat stats. Nice. Improved castle info for Ulman Agartha. Fate Weaving Bless was not shown. Bless effect was not shown. Fixes for incorrect roadmap on Biden, event fixes, stat fixes, typo, and description fixes. Okay. So, Bless changes. So, magic weapons now cost 4 instead of 2. That is a big deal. So, magic weapons is not going to be everywhere, which means things that get hit by magic weapons will still work sometimes now. So magic weapons is no longer just like take it always because it's cheap. and you have sacred units and they should have magic weapons, it's now something you would have to kind of consider pretty carefully. It's not so expensive. It's going to be ruled out of the Rainbow Pretender kind of meme bless, because 4, basically you're still going to get it. What it's going to mean effectively is before you would get it, and you would get some magic resistance. Now you'll probably just get magic weapons. So it's actually still going to be pretty common. But it's going to be more design points. So, one second, my dogs are going. Death explosion is size dependent, so big guys are going to blow up more than little guys. Do we need to test this? I think if there's anything that bears testing, I think it's this. So let's test this really fast. Okay, oh, perfect. We have an actual death explosion nation chosen at random. So let's do it. Death explosion. Holy shit, death explosion's cheap. Gotta pick something else. I have morale. High morale and death explosion. We have religious fanatics. Okay. This should be fine. Okay, TNG, you guys can... Let's see real quick if there's any other bless we want to test. Frost weapons, quickness, luck, reforming flesh, berserker bless. We'll do that. Do we have a nature chassis somewhere? Gods are not digging nature, huh? Okay, Berserker Bless. And we'll give ourselves some points. Okay, and then Marignon. We are going to need these guys who are size 2. And I'm going to want a large sacred, so I think we're going to have to wish for one. Something like, oh, I don't know, a Melkort. Well, no, let's do... Don't want to harm a Melkort in this. Let's do a Neefle Jarl. And that will give us a true size 6. So, okay. Okay, go take this. Go take this. Let's move our guys out. Let's have these guys pull back. And let's put some PD here to use as a test subject. And then let's go ahead and move in. We'll do waves, right? So we'll do the Neefle Jarl in wave 2. These guys in wave 1 will do Divine Blessing. And this is not going to be a scientific experiment. We're not going to know the values. We're just going to know the size of the explosion. Okay, so let's go watch that again. We saw values for 10, nearby, and 5. Basically, we saw values up to 10. And it killed a lot of guys. For the flagellants, I don't know if they got quite as surrounded. There were values for 10 here too, so I don't think it increases the max damage. I think it just increases the size. I kind of just want to see this real quick. Let's just see how the flagellant... The religious fanatic squad does? Okay. Yeah, this, by the way, is why this is kind of a bad bless. I mean, obviously, you would want to consider more synergies than just throwing it on flagellants, but... Okay, so that's that. Oh, the other thing we were going to look at was Berserker. So, let's get some of our sacreds here. So they made some changes to Berserker, and basically the changes were that it now gets applied to you even if you're not being blessed. Which has good things and bad things. So the good things that it has are that we should have this trait on them, like even right now. And we don't need to bless them. Did nobody get damaged here? Has nobody gone berserk? Okay, I don't see anybody got damaged. We better not have lost... We lost them and they didn't... Okay, wait. I saw somebody take damage. Okay, somebody over here got hit. Okay, he got hit and did not go berserk. Oh, mounted units. Okay, you're retarded. Okay, we're gonna have to wish our way into testing this. Or no, we can get some non-mounted units from Tianchi. Like, let us get... I think Celestial Servants are sacred. And bad. Okay. For science... let's just get some more guys too. Buffalo. Okay, we'll get... Okay, we'll do Mirror Image, Twist Fate. Okay. And we actually don't want them close. We're not getting them blessed, okay? Whole thing is we're going to see how this works now that you don't need to be blessed. Wait, whoops. That's okay. Marignon. Okay, you guys can break out. And let's see how this works. Okay, and they have gone berserk. Okay, and they're not blessed. So that's interesting. That is this one right here. So it's good and bad because it could have been in the past you could have had some sacreds that you tried not to get blessed so that they would, like mages, so they wouldn't go berserk if they got, tapped on the shoulder. But now you can't do that, right? So now everybody's getting blessed no matter what. Sorry. The good thing is certain nations that may have lots of sacreds but may struggle to get them blessed. I'm thinking you, Marverni. It would be a pretty good bless to have on them. Yeah. Especially like combined with larger, which also got a very, very big buff. Whereas the cost went from 5 to 4 and is no longer incarnate only. Larger, I think this is a huge buff. I think we're going to start seeing larger a ton. Larger is going to give you more HP, more strength, and more strategic map move. Those are all really good things, and to get it for 4 and for it not to be incarnate, I think this is going to be the most ubiquitous bless out there. I think they've and it's funny just from doing these two things. They decreased cost by 1 and they made it non-incarnate. This is going to make it, I would say almost every size 2 sacred that's doing a rainbow bless would want larger. It's so freaking strong now. I mean, this is ridiculous. So 4, I mean, it's a combination of a few things. Well, let's check it out actually. So let's see how they changed it, because it used to be you needed earth and nature. So larger, here we go. Okay, 4 and 3. Okay, never mind. I was forgetting it needed the nature part too. I don't know how much nature it needed before. Okay, so what does this mean now? It means it is a very cheap rainbow bliss. So if you get up to like this, I think we'll see a lot. Larger and low light vision. This is going to give you +1 size, which can be good for things like repel or things like getting trampled or things like that. 30% HP, +3 strength, -1 defense, and +2 map move. Now that +2 map move, it will depend on the unit, but if that pushes you over the cusp of being able to move 2 provinces where you normally would only be able to move 1, it's a very big deal, right? So that +2 map move can be not a big deal based on the unit movement, or it can be a very big deal. But doing it alone for 30% more HP and +3 strength can be totally worth it. Yeah. It can also make it so you don't get trampled if that's something you're worried about. So I don't know. It's probably not going to be every single thing, but let's make an example. Let's take early age Abyssia, which already kind of struggles with not being able to put 2 of its burning ones in a square, right? And we'll give them an Awake Rainbow Bliss. Maybe they get larger, and then they get bark skin, because Abyssia likes bark skin. Oddly enough, they have to go up to 9, so this would be kind of expensive. They don't have Immersil. There's an anti-synergy between getting this and bark skin, which, fine. Okay, this is incarnate only. This isn't. Okay, so I'm picking. Okay, you probably wouldn't do this, but yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do here. I'll just pick this. And we'll pick Abyssia. Whoops. Gotta remember to delete this guy afterwards so I don't clog up my shit with a bunch of... What? Oh, I don't have enough resources. Give me some of those resources. Okay, we kind of lost a lot of guys. Alright, come back and reset. We've got some mountains. Okay, let's see how the burning ones do. We don't theory craft here, guys. We test. Actually, I know some of it works without them actually being blessed. Let's see if their HP goes up. I'm not totally sure. I know they get strategic map move without it. No, they're size 4, so it should go up to size 5. Oh, wait, no, they were... Oh, bad formation fighter. Right, so they were size... That already took effect. So these guys here are size 3. Wait, am I, like, not understanding what's going on here? Size 4, bad formation fighter. They get blessed. Okay, you're blessed now. You have larger and you have bark skin. Okay, you did get the defense penalty. You got the strength bonus. Okay, so they must have gotten... This is kind of weird. It looks like they got the 7 HP at the start of combat without actually having to be blessed. So... Oh, yeah, no, this totally works without them having to be blessed. So that works on the strategic map. Gives them... Why does it show up here, though? That's what's confusing to me. I guess it shows up here. Okay, let's cheat here, and we'll look in this. If it shows up here, then my mind's really going to be blown. No, okay. Size 3, 23 HP. Okay. So working as intended. Anyway, those are some scary boys. So that is the larger bless. I think, okay, I don't think it's going to be, I think I overstated it. I don't think it's going to be the most common, but I think we're going to see it a lot. Yeah, pretty damn good. Fortitude got nerfed, which is fine. People liked Fortitude a lot. I wasn't ever a huge fanboy, but it was alright. Frost weapons is now cheaper. And the Swiftness Bless got increased in cost but gives you additional defense. So what this means is it's easier for rainbows to stack up defense higher. So you can potentially, like if you're Yis or somebody with any of the elves, you can get your defense even higher, which is very good for thugging, because it means, like, even after you're surrounded, you get a certain amount of harass penalty. It means that your defense will be higher even after the harass penalty is built up, where it might be high enough where you're basically not going to get hit anymore. So, kind of a big deal for them. For everybody else, not quite as sure. But this makes it, I think, a little bit more interesting. I'm not sure the reason behind this. This seems more flavor than balance. It does make high defense strats more possible, I think. And then, okay, Frost Weapon Bless from 5 to 4. Quickness Bless. They made it require magic scale +1, so it's hard to totally dump your scales and take quickness. I don't think quickness was broken, guys. I think y'all probably over-nerfed it. It was already wildly expensive. Yeah, going, like, Micklin quickness was kind of a thing I did, but I don't think... I think the problem is, like, if you want to nerf Hellbless, I think you just don't go quickness now. You do something else, but yeah. I'm not even really sure about my quickness pick on Micklin. So, anyway, I think quickness will be, like, they've made it ridiculously expensive and even more expensive now that you can't dump magic. Because magic is one of the scales, if you're going Hellbless, you almost always want to do, because you're going to take an Awake Researcher. So, yeah, that's... I think that's, like, rip to quickness. I don't think we'll ever see quickness. I don't think you'll see quickness in serious games anymore. Okay, so we've done that. Fortitude. I think people will still get Fortitude, but it's more expensive now. I'm fine with that. I never used it. Luck Bless went from 8 to 9. It's almost like they watched my Micklin game and they were like, let's nerf that stuff. Which is fine by me. The Luck Bless... I mean, here's the thing. Like, you can already cast Battlefield-wide Luck that's going to hit everything. I mean, you have to hit some research targets for it, but... yeah, I don't know. I don't think this was definitely needed. But it's okay. I'm not like against it. I just think you'll see it less, and I don't think it was seen that much. It was really only seen on Micklin because you had Jaguar Warriors with 2 forms. I think the fix would be making it only apply to like your final form death. But instead you can nerf it where and nobody's going to really want to use it, I don't think. So I think that's what... Luck 9, I don't think normal Sacreds are going to want to use it. It's like highly, highly situational for things with 2 forms only, I think, that are cheap and spammable. Like, there's not a ton of those things. So I think any idea of Luck being choosed in a somewhat general setting, I think is, like, completely gone. And it could be I'm wrong. I know there was talk of... Oh, no, I think that was with the Undying mechanic. I can't remember. It may be that Luck only does work on 1 form now. I can't remember. I know there was something they fixed to only work on 1 form, so it doesn't apply in both. And it may have been Luck. I'm not sure. But anyway, I think this is pretty damn expensive. I mean, the Luck Bless is pretty good, but I think it's too expensive now. Going from 8 to 9 is a much bigger deal than like going from like 4 to 5 or something, because that last point is going to cost you a shit ton. Like this is like 2 scales, so this is kind of a big deal. Reforming Flesh now costs from 7 to 6. That's a buff to Airmore, and it's a buff to Lemuria. Now, Lemuria got nerfed significantly by the changes where you can now permanently kill Immortals really easily. Or pretty easily. Which is fine. I can't think of too many ways where you'll want Reforming Flesh. I mean, it wasn't getting used a lot because there weren't many Undead Sacred units. The only ones you could, like, maybe you do it for tarts, and making it cheaper makes that more of an option. But there's just not a lot of play for this Bless. And the times where you can use it, which is like Airmore, like this is really cheap now. Like this is ridiculously cheap. The times where you can't really use it and you want to pigeonhole it into some, or you want to kind of like finagle it and get there, it's, like if you're doing a Tart Bless, which is going to come online like turn 70, it does make sense that this would be cheaper for, which is kind of if you don't have undead sacreds in your nation, that's kind of the only thing you would do it for. Would be for tarts. So I don't know. I think like it depends what you're balancing it for. If you're balancing it for Airmore, you've probably made it too cheap, and if you're balancing it for like tarts in the late game, then you're making it cheaper, which is probably fine. Berserker Bless now for non-sacreds too. Okay, so or for non-blessed sacreds too. So this means, like larger, it does not need. You don't need to be blessed. So potentially you can do like a larger Berserker Bless combo, and you don't even need to have a priest around. You can just run them around and attack stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Scale balance changes. So let's see. We have scale changes. We get order income goes from 2 to 3, which conversely means that turmoil, lack of income, goes from -2 to -2 to -3. And then the order resources go from 2 to 3. I wonder if that's recruitment points. Let's go check. No, you get resources now from order. So if you want more resources and more recruitment points, you go order. Yeah. So now if you go like turmoil production, because you need a ton of resources, but you don't need order, you're going to get 36 resources. Whereas before you would have had 35. So these now are identical in terms of income. Growth, oddly, which used to be the highest of the income, is now the lowest. Which, these effects are always kind of weird because it makes it so that you have a suboptimal build in the game you're in, but then so does everybody. So it kind of washes out. Sort of. It's still frustrating, though. But, yeah. So I think that there's a few things that people don't often appreciate for order. One is the unrest reduction is significant. Having a little bit of unrest, even from provinces trading hands from raiding, is going to have a significant effect on your income. So this unrest reduction is pretty nice. I think order builds are going to be back, because you're getting recruitment points, which is nice. You're also getting a few more resources, which is pretty nice. And then obviously the income boost is significant. So I think the way it plays out now is if you want to go full scales, you before could kind of not get all of them. Now you really kind of do want all the scales. One of the inadvertent things it's done is if you went full scales. Let's go back. So I think there actually was a net full scales nerf, which is that growth got nerfed from 4 to 2. So it's a nerf of 1, and then order got buffed from 2 to 3. So net, if you went full scales and you got all 3 of these, or you got 3 in all of these, you're going to have 3% lower income, which isn't a big deal. But you do get a few more resources if you went order 3. So, I mean, you'll get 9% more resources, which is not nothing. So, slight nerf to full scales, which I think is fine too. But it's more of a nerf, I think, to everyone else, because everyone else went growth and trashed all this shit. And if you went scales, you're now going to have a significantly better income there. Okay, so notable other balance changes. Altered cost for pretenders. Most monsters are a bit more expensive, and most titans a bit cheaper. So that is potentially important. So like this Titan still 250. I don't think that's cheaper. I'd like a list. If I mean I know it's hard to get, but like I would really like to know what they did because you walk around and you look, it's kind of hard to tell. Like these are all still high 200s. Like maybe these are a little cheaper. These do feel a little cheaper. Like maybe these were like 230 or 240 before. Yeah, maybe in general they took like 20 or 30 points off. Hard to say. But if so, I think that's good. I think Titans probably could use a bit of a cost reduction. I think Titans are actually good chassis, though. The thing you have to remember about a Titan is they get Bane a base of 3 Dominion, and they're going to have more base magic points. So now I think what is likely going to be the case, I'm glad they did this with small little tweaks rather than like a major change. Now what I think you will find is that if whatever the kind of bless you wanted to get, let's say you wanted a minor bless, or even a major bless, but it's in the paths that the Titan has, but you're not going on like a huge sacred strategy where you need, right? I think it's something you could consider, like, because you could still go with the sacred strategy that relied on these guys. But normally with the sacred only strategy, you're going to want to dump stuff into like an immobile. Because these guys are more expensive and have less dominion, which you always need some dominion, a fair amount of dominion if you're going for sacreds, because you need, enough dominions points to recruit them. I think what we'll see now is that if the Titan has the right paths for a kind of bless that you would want on your sacreds, they're now pretty viable. And it depends, but being able to have like a super combatant come online pretty early in the game can be pretty important. I mean, it can kind of redefine how the game's going to play for you. Yeah. So, yeah, I think these guys are more viable now, because if you look at it, like, let's just do a quick example. Let's say we take this guy. Well, he's kind of expensive. Let's take like one of the lower 200 ones. Okay, let's take this guy. Bringer of Fortune, cool. Not great stats, but okay HP pool. So let's take him, and let's say we wanted to get some kind of little finagly bless for our sacreds, like this, and then we wanted to get something like this. Not a big bless, but some kind of like utility bless to just make our sacreds a little more flexible. And I'm not doing this for TNG. I'm just saying, like, what would it cost to have a similar type of thing from a rainbow? So we have 55 design points left over at 6 Dominion. Now, if you come down here and you say, okay, well, let's build it with one of these guys. I guess we'll do this one, just because. So we actually have more design points left over on that guy than we do on our rainbow for getting like a very minor bless. So, a reasonably minor bless. So what I think this means is that, and it was kind of close before, but it was like a little bit farther away where if you're really trying to min-max, you would go with the rainbow in a lot of cases. But what I think this will mean, and part of it, a lot of the cost here was the Dominion. What I think this will mean is that it's going to make, now, it's actually cheaper in this case to get the car, or to get this guy, the Noraya, than to get a rainbow. But even, let's say it was more expensive. How much would you pay to have somebody that potentially could be a super combatant come online at like year 1? And the answer for me is definitely more than 40 design points. So, it depends. Like, or even if it comes online at turn 30, like, which is later, I think you could even see imprisoned Titan builds which I think is really cool because I think like the idea of an imprisoned titan is pretty cool. But I think imprisoned titans, if you're not going for like a rainbow for strict magic diversity, if there's a few things you need on your bless, and you kind of want a fair amount of dominion points, and dominion points are going to matter more now because you can go above the 10 cap. So potentially, even if you don't want to, like even if you're not going for a dom push strategy, because other people now can, going with like a 4 or 5 Dominion Pretender is kind of a big deal. Because it means somebody else potentially could be at like 12 or 13 while you're at like 6 or 7. And that is a huge difference in Dominion. And that's kind of one thing okay, we're going to do this real quick. We're doing one last test. And I think I actually have it built into this one, so we don't need to redo it. I think you are, we're Dominion Strength 10. So one thing we're going to need to do, and we're going to just give ourselves the Horde Skeleton script here. Okay. Okay. Get off of his cap, please. Thank you. And now you're going to do Wizard Tower here. Okay, and then you're going to come here, and then okay, and then we're going to send you here and you here. I'm just going to see what it looks like when you have more. I guess since the candles aren't being displayed by default, it's not actually as big of a deal. But let's go ahead and get Dominion Strength 11 and just see what it looks like. So I don't get wrecked by indies while I'm trying to do this. Okay, and then let's go ahead and make a temple. The other thing that this implies, and I'm not sure how it will work, but it implies that you can have a greater than 100% chance of a temple check. And like if you're at, because normally I think when you're at 100 you have a guaranteed chance of a temple check for each temple. But this implies you could go higher. Okay, so now we should see our maximum Dominion Strength. Chance of successfully spreading Dominion is 105, so I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means I'm guaranteed to spread it, or there's a 5% chance I spread it twice. So that's an important distinction. Just in the way Dominion conflict bonuses work, it would still be beneficial to have higher than 11 Dominion. Oh, wow. Okay, so it appears that you cannot get your Dominion in a province higher than 10. So the Dominion itself is still capped at 10. What this must mean is that your Dominion pressure can increase higher than 10. Which is really weird. That was kind of not exactly what I expected. But, So if you were to get up to like 14, then you would have a successful spread chance of 120. And what that would mean is that somebody else, like Pangea, who I don't think got that, they've got starting Dominion 6. So the math is 50 plus half of your Dominion strength. So they've got 80. So you'd be... Yeah, I mean, you'd be putting a ton of Dominion pressure out. So I think this introduced I think this made Dom kill strategies kind of possible if you incorporate it into your Bless. But it would be kind of slow. And that thing I said where like the pool's deeper now because you can go above 10 for Dominion and Province does not seem to be the case. So your provinces will not go above 10. But the rate at which they spread, I think it means there's a chance you can get 2. So you can increase your Dominion pressure in the pipe without increasing necessarily the thickness of the pipe. So that is that. Okay, so that was Titans and then some other stuff. Horde of Skeletons, it used to be 6+, now it's 5+. So you get 1 less skeleton per casting, which I think is probably fair. Demon Bane, easier to make. Not actually sure. Let's see how much it costs now. Holy shit! I mean, were these guys not, like, guys, Illwinter, I love you. If you pull up this item to edit it and you make it cost 5 gems, like, 15 fire resistance, 5 hit points, 5 attack, 2 defense, and 2 times damage versus demons. You should have this literally on every single commander if you're fighting a demon nation. And then if you're not fighting a demon nation, you should have it on probably every commander if you're fighting a fire nation. Because this is now a 5 gem item, or 3 gem item if you have hammers, which is how most kind of competitive Dominions people roll. So now you're getting, 5 HP and 15 fire resistance for 5 water gems. Now, if you wanted both hands free because you had a shield or something like that, then yeah, you got to think about it because you're giving up your shield hand. But this is enough where versus things not like Dione, because Dione can still struggle through this, but against things like Lanka and stuff like that, this is going to be very, very good. And it's cheap as hell now. 5 hit points. 15 fire resistance. Very good. So, okay. I mean, I think it should be made... Okay, what do I think about the change? 10 was probably on the expensive side. But not really. I think for what you get, there were times like I still bought it at 10. I bought it in my Scaleria game because I didn't have access to fire. And this was my only way to get fire resistance. So that's like a niche use that you definitely are going to need. If you're worried about like Infernal Disease, this is a pretty good counter to that. Like, you don't really have to worry about it nearly as much if you've got a magic 2 times damage versus demon and 5 hit points. What would I have done? I think the path requirement was probably fine because you can get to water too with just a booster. Maybe you just give it like a 30% cost reduction. Because this is really cheap. Because you're basically going from an after hammer cost of 8 to an after hammer cost of 3. So, like, this is over a 2x reduction cost. It's almost like a 3x reduction cost. And I think that's probably too much. But I mean, there are more broken things in Dominion's balance than this item now. But I think, anyway, point being, this is now a super duper good item that I think we'll see all the time. 15 damage, too, is so freaking high. Holy shit. Let's just make one of these. Let's let him, his HP get back up. Okay, so... who can he go run into that probably won't kill him? So let's check this guy out with his new weapon. 15 fire resistance, 22 HP. Defense is kind of nice. He lost his shield, which is one of the things that makes Black Lords good. So he's almost definitely going to die. But his damage, though, 32. Very high. Very high. Yeah, he's dead. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, okay. He didn't die, but he almost killed the PD. If he had a buddy, he would have gotten him. Okay, so closing thoughts on this. The cost of this really is not being able to use a shield. If you want to put it on a mage, it's going to turn your mage into reasonably killy dudes in the back line. Like, let's make it again. And then let's just make a mage real quick. So, okay. Like, this guy's going to hit for 27. And he's going to have a fair amount of HP. He'll have 17. So people get into the back line like, oh, we've hit the mages. And you're like, no, I put a 5-gem booster on them so that they would have fire resistance and a bit more HP so they wouldn't get picked off real easy. And by the way, I hit for 27 damage now. So, if you have if you have a water income and you don't have a reason not to, you should be putting these on like all your mages if you're worried at all about fire magic. It's kind of how I see it. Because the HP boost is awesome. Yeah, we've talked about it. Okay, so that is the Demon Bane. Holy Scourges are more expensive, so I'm guessing they're now 10. Okay, so what makes this weapon cool? It's that it's 2 attacks, and it's that it gives you... it's 2 attacks, and it gives you 3 times damage versus undead, right? So you can kind of... you're very... and it's plus 2 attack for shield. So you're very reliable in blowing up undead, because you get 2 attacks and all this business. The bad things is you lose defense. Now, was 5 too cheap for this? Probably. Is 10 too cheap for this? I mean, too expensive for this? I think it's going to change how you use it. So it used to be you would just put a Holy Scourge on a commander and you would use it. Now it's so expensive that you either want to put it on a good commander or you want to put other things on them so they don't die. The problem with it, though, is now that it takes 2 hand slots, so you don't have a shield, and it lowers your defense. So you're going to get the shit smacked out of you. Which was always the problem with the Holy Scourge, but before you were just like, okay, well, it's 5 gems. If I lose it, I lose it. Well, now, if it's 3 gems with the hammer versus 8 gems without, it's way more expensive to lose. So, I think you will still use it, but honestly, you're probably going to be looking for like, okay, maybe I would rather use the Demon Bane and get a net of 4 defense. And my damage output isn't going to be that much worse because we've got, while we lost the 3 times damage, we gained a ton in base damage. So, I don't really understand. I mean, you do lose the 2 number of attacks too, which is definitely nice. And you lose the attack for shield. But, like, if you have access to Demon Banes, you will now almost always, I think, make them over Holy Scourges. Now, situationally, if you have, like, a thug or somebody with, like, other gear, and magic paths that you've kitted up to use this, you can get by some of the weaknesses where you get killed, and this definitely still will peak out at higher damage. So this definitely still has like a situational use, where you have a Tartarian or something you need to get through, or a Dione, and they're just really hard to get through all that protection. There are things that can survive the Demon Bane, basically. Kind of. So sometimes you really need this 3x multiplier on top of high base strength. So that's kind of my thought on the Holy Scourge nerf. I think it needed to be nerfed, like it needed to be made more expensive. This is a big buff to Yomi. So cool, this patch is coming out while my Yomi series is uploading. So big buff to Yomi. Small nerf to Yomi. I mean, people will make Demon Bane now. The thing is, a Demon Bane. Okay, let's do the math real quick. So we're gonna actually make it a Dione. Okay, I've got to get off. I got to go to my girlfriend's too in a minute. So, did I do this at the wrong spot? Okay, we'll go ahead and make the gift for them, or the gear for them. We'll give them just what I would consider to be some kind of baseline gear for a Dione. We'll give them a firebrand because we can. We'll give them a what will we give them? We'll give them a shield, which will be not terribly shitty. Something like, we'll just do the generic Vine Shield, and then we'll give them a horned hat. We'll give them knight armor. We'll give them boots of reinvigoration. We'll give them a bracer, and we'll give them I don't know, something like that. Okay, and then on Alm's side, let's make sure we get Alm ready. We'll get them a master smith, and we'll get them a knight, and we'll make them gear for the knight, which will include the brand, or this thing. So we'll just have a showdown, and we'll see who wins it and how compellingly. We'll see if the test really is the Demon Bane a true replacement now for the here we go. Okay, we don't have boot slots on that guy, so we're not going to worry about that. We'll give him Ring of the Warrior. Okay, we don't have slaves, so we'll do that. And then over here, we'll give him a Ring of Regeneration. Okay, and then we can now kit up our guys for our fight. Okay, we've got 0 PD here, so we'll just have this guy patrol. Okay, patrol. And then we'll have him get buffed. We'll let them do their buffing cycles. Iron Warriors, Legions of Steel, and then Strength of Giants. And then we'll have this guy just sit here and hold for 5 turns and attack. Okay, so it's going to be him versus, on the other side, we have an Oni, a Dione, who is going to be buffing himself. Because he doesn't have anybody sitting there helping him or anything like that. Now, Alm has bad MR, so that is going to help with Divine Shield working. But we'll give him Summon Earth Power, Iron Skin, Temper Flesh. Now, normally he would have Regeneration on him too, but we'll just see how it works. Temper Flesh, Soul Vortex, and we could Phoenix Fire him, but I'm not going to do that. What else do we have? Fire, Earth, Death. Okay. And the battle goes in the favor of... Who do you think? I think that's our answer. That's kind of funny. Okay, I mean, not terribly compelling. Let's just make a couple more. Let's make... Okay, we're going to try one last thing. We're going to see how mass brands do it. I mean, how mass Demon and Banes do against this guy. Yeah, so if you wanted the quick version of the patch notes, you can just read them. This is the long version. Wait, why can I only get one? Oh, we don't have enough resources. Okay. Oh, whatever. Let's get this guy off our capital. We'll have him come back in for round 2. Okay, how many guys do we have? Got 4 guys. Okay, and then where are you? Okay, attack rear. That will just change how they move. So they hopefully don't all get clumped up and branded. And then we'll have the Dione come back in. Okay, and then the battle. Who do you think wins this time? 3 very killy thugs who are going to be doing 32 damage a pop. That's going to get doubled, or the Dione. My money's on the thugs. This is the exact kind of situation you want to keep your Dione out from. Barely lives, but he still had his second form, which isn't exactly a joke, though it would get chopped up by this Bane. So, okay, in conclusion, this would not have happened with Holy Scourges. This guy would have popped. So I don't think the Demon... While the Demon Bane is very useful, I don't think it's a full replacement to totally eclipse the Holy Scourge. But anyway, that's that. Okay, other things that are important. Wailing Wind's gem cost from 1 to 2. Let's look at some of these real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about the inventory, and then we'll check them all out. So we have Wailing Winds from 1 to 2, Firestorm from 5 to 3, Rigor Mortis from 1 to 3, and then Solar Brilliance from 5 to 3. Now, let's talk about fire. Let's talk about fire. Flamestorm now. So it's only 1 gem. It means A, it's really cheap to cast. If you have a Fire 4, you can cast it for just 1 fire gem after Phoenix Power. So that's a huge buff. You also now only need to be able to get to like a Fire 3 mage can get up to Fire 4, and then he can cast it. The fatigue requirement got nerfed to hell. It used to be you could knock yourself out really easily casting it. Now it's pretty easy to put up. So huge buff to Flamestorm. So that's really good for Fire Nations, because this is one of their top tier spells. So huge buff. Death, we have Wind of Death. I'm sorry, what was it? Wailing Winds, which was a very, very strong spell, and it got nerfed. So it's now 2. Now this isn't going to change who can cast it, because you could still have a Death 3 cast it. Now they're just going to take 1 more gem. So I think that's okay. It's a small nerf. Solar Brilliance from 5 to 3. So Solar Brilliance was Astral 5. Now it's Astral 3. And I don't know if this affects the fatigue requirements too, but it might. So far I've been noticing these are the same, and that could just be a new observation. Perhaps it's always been that way. But definitely Flamestorm is less fatigue. So anyway, this is important because at 5 you actually needed to be Astral 5 to cast it. Now you can cast it if you're Astral 4, which means it's significantly easier to get off. So that's a big change to Solar Brilliance. For Winds of Death, for Wailing Winds, we already talked about it. You can still cast it with the same level path. It's just less gems and maybe less fatigue. Rigor Mortis was the other death spell to get nerfed. It went from being able... basically, before you could be Death 3 and you could cast it with 2 gems. Right now you need to be Death 4, because if you're Death 3, you still can't cast it by putting 2 gems in it. You now need to be Death 4. And it's going to cost way more fatigue. So I guess these two are tied, and I never noticed it, because this is now 300 fatigue. So it's going to knock your ass out when you cast it. Yeah, so I think a much needed nerf for a very, very strong spell. And I think it's cool they went about it this way rather than nerfing the effect itself. So now you can do it, but most mages in the game are going to need an item to do it now. Liches, I guess, can still do it. So it's been nerfed, and it's also just going to take more. It's going to take more death gems to fuel this if you're going to have this up a lot. So it's a sizable nerf. It's a pretty big nerf to Rigor Mortis, but they don't nerf it where it's ineffective. It's still super duper effective. It's just harder to cast. So I really like that. That was a really good balance change. Condor got their siege bonus reduced. The only nation to get a balance change was Nazca. I actually want to see this now. Siege bonus of 1. I forget what it was. I think it was 5 or something stupid, or 1. They should just get rid of it, guys. And come on. Nazca, nobody would have said anything if you got rid of a siege bonus. They already get a default bonus from flying, but now it's only 4. Maybe it was 5 or 6 before, their total siege strength. It's still really high. But maybe 4 is more livable. I can't even remember what it was. I just know it was ridiculous. We can probably find out in the mod inspector, though, because that probably hasn't been updated yet. Okay, and then modding, there's a few other changes. We're not going to go through all of them. But that's it. So that's a ton of balance changes, and yeah. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.